right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our February edition of Scripting the Book. Today, we're going to be talking about the book Push by Sapphire, which was made into the movie Precious, starring Gabourey Sidibe and Monique. I'm very excited. Let's let my friends and co-hosts introduce themselves, and then we're going to dive right in. So, Natalie, you want to go ahead and take it away?
I'm Natalie Locke. I don't feel like reaching for my books, but 1,000 words of flash fiction writing series where pretty much I wrote books, but you add the prose with my friend Chandra Author, who does have a new book out called Mother Mercy, and I got to read that as an arc. Thank goodness, because I'm impatient. Yeah, I pretty much. I'm not really active online for live streams and stuff, except for scripting the book. So you can find me here.
Here you go.
Nice. And I'm Ben Pick, also running to write. You can find me on YouTube every Monday night. I host productivity sprints as I work to finish the 4th novel in my Into the Void series. It's all about teenagers who gain abilities and fight monsters. And yeah, like I said, every Monday night, 6 p.m. Eastern time, I host productivity sprints, usually an hour and a half. Sometimes I go off topic and just start talking about pop culture and random things in my life. But for the most part, I host 30 and 20-minute sprints within that time.
And you're here on my channel. I am the Vixen of Fiction all over the internet. I do streaming on Tuesday nights here on YouTube, and you can find me over on Twitch, usually on Mondays and Fridays in the middle of the day. And I write under NV James. I also do a little bit of artwork under NV James. So you can find my work, a little bit of my work with Inimitable Books, a little bit of artwork, and then I publish independently short stories under NV James while I work on my epic fantasy and a comic book. So that is me. I am ready to go. We are talking about Push. Okay, so I had not read this book before. Is anybody, this is your first time reading it like me? First time reading it? All right. I'll just go ahead and ask, did everybody see the movie when it first came out or earlier? Seen the movie before? Okay. I too saw the movie before. This is my first time rewatching. So we'll get to the movie in a minute. We're going to talk about the book. We're going to do our best to do this spoiler free. And I do want to warn anybody, if you are not familiar with this book, it has, if you thought The Color Purple had some difficult subjects, this does as well.
Trigger warning.
Trigger warning.
Of essay and emotional abuse as well. Just it's gonna be difficult as well as medically as well, I would say, later in the book.
Yes. There's physical, there's, so just if there is abuse that you can think of, it is probably in this book. So you do be aware of that. If this is not the episode for you, come back next month when we do Bridgerton. But if you can handle the subject matter, I think that this one is definitely one worth listening to. So let's go into. So we're all first-time readers. Anybody a dislike on this one? Neutral, a like, a love. Okay, this is a love for me, only because I will probably not read it again, but it was well worth the read, and we'll get into a little bit. Anybody else want to talk about why they fell into the like love?
It's like love for me as well, but that's because it's to me a very important story. It's kind of it made me think of The Pursuit of Happiness, the book. Mm-hmm. Where there's a lot of things that were not in the movie, and this actually was closer to the movie, I will say that. But it's difficult, a difficult reality to admit exist. It's and unfortunately it does. There is people who actually have endured this, even though it is a novel, came out in 1996, and it's based in 1980s Harlem, New York. It's still it's not off the wall. Like, it's believable.
Yeah.
And I actually kind of annoyed me. I'll say that. It annoyed me that people were giving it low marks on Goodreads because of its explicitness. It's like, it made me uncomfortable. I'm like, that is the point. The point is to make you uncomfortable. To face that this actually does exist.
Yep.
And the fact that people downvoted it just for that, it was it's injustice in my opinion and everything. But for me, it's a love. Like, it was very well done, but it's one of those things where I'm exposed to it and I got to be in the right headspace to step into that again.
Yeah.
Ben?
I'm a little bit. The book had a fantastic what am I trying to say? Narrator voice, a fantastic narrator voice. Like, it is very, very you are inside of that author's head the entire time. And she has an incredibly strong voice with that. I knew going in what to expect in terms of all of the trigger warnings. So that wasn't overly surprising to me with what to expect. Without getting into spoilers, I will say that the ending brought down my experience of reading the book. So we can go into that when we get there. Yeah, I don't. It is very difficult to talk about this because it is, you know, like you said, it feels like it could be very real. I'm sure this story has happened to other people who have lived through this, and it is very triggering for somebody to read through. I probably won't read it again because I already had that experience. But yeah, I mean, it is an important read. I don't know. I feel like there was something missing from it.
Oh, I want to talk about that too, because I think you might have, I don't know, yours might be different experience with what you're expecting from the end. And I think that they a little bit mentioned that also in the book, but we'll talk about that when we get more to the spoiler part towards the end. But if you want to read the book, we want you to be able to have a full experience of the book without giving too much away. So this is, let me put this up. It says I thought I clicked it. We're talking about it. Oh, it's only showing it for 20 seconds. No, boo. But these are our thoughts on it. We're trying to give it to you as much as we can, spoiler free. And we'll get into spoilers later for people who want that. So when you're reading this, you are getting this from Precious's voice. And I always hybrid read. So I'm reading it like this, but then I like to do an audio as well. And the first audio that I had was read by somebody else. And then I saw that there was a version read by Sapphire, who's the author. So I actually went back and started listening with it in Sapphire's voice. That way I wanted to hear it how she wanted it, or how they wanted it to be. So I went back, started listening to it with Sapphire's voice, and it honestly, it felt like somebody telling me what was happening, what had happened to them. There's a social worker in the book that she's talking to, and I felt like I could be the social worker listening to this young woman being like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, you know, but trying to like keep it together and not scream. And a friend of mine warned me. She said that there was a part where she wanted to actually throw the book, and she goes, I think you'll know when you get there. And there were parts where I'm like, this is terrible. Is this the part she's talking about? Then I got to the part and I was like, no, this is the part. So be aware that oh my gosh, it's rough, but it's written really like, it was written in a way that I was like, this is fiction, right? Because it felt like real, like
it felt like so many memoirs I've read. 100% of this, like, present mindset of past situations and being mindful of the emotions in the past situations as well.
Yeah. And this is one where it doesn't hit the love for me, not because it's not really well done, but because I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to read this one again. But I did get the book because I wanted to have it. And it is one that if someone wanted to read it, I would be like, here, I have a copy. Go ahead and read it. But with the warnings that you know what's in it, because I think it's worth
it
that.
is a book I would recommend. It's just I would be mindful of who I'm recommending it to and make sure they know what they're about to enter
and
into.
be in the right headspace before you read it. It took me a while just because I knew what was going to be in it. And I kept I do writing sprints on Tuesday nights, and I kept saying, I've got to read Push. I've got to read it, and I have a feeling what I'm in for. And so because I really prepared myself, I felt like for most of it I was good, but there were still parts where I was like, whoa, okay, she's really, Precious is really going through it. So that's where I am. Do we have any other thoughts, spoiler free, before we start getting into the movie and then really talking about?
I want spoilers now. Let's go.
Okay. All right. So let's get into the movie. So we have, it's got this thing now. If you click wrong, you're going to get a timer. So Precious, the film. Anybody a dislike? A neutral? All right. A like? I'm a like on this one as well. All right. So let's go ahead and get into it. Why do we fall? Do you want to start, Ben?
You're a neutral, man. What happened?
You're the neutral. Yeah.
So all that incredible voice by Precious is sort of extracted out from the movie. And there were definitely some tonal issues. So the camera work, it's not like a Steadicam. It feels like a documentary where where like the camera's moving around. It is trying to put you into the person's, like you're living in the moment. But the entire time I was watching it, all I could think of was like, this is how The Office is filmed. And so I was like kind of expecting somebody like stare at turn to the camera and be like, this is really happening. And again, going back to the end, I'm not going to say what it is until we get to spoilers, but there is a moment where it is 100% something I saw in an SNL skit. So yeah.
Put a pen in that. We got to bring that one back.
Yeah, I need to know. I don't think okay, because I'm like, what was it? So
yeah,
for this one, go ahead.
And yeah, I just have a whole bunch of issues like with the ending again, and we'll get to it. Like the ending just not good.
Okay. So my thoughts on the film. I thought that I liked the way that it was directed. It felt very much like the book, even though everything wasn't exactly the same. It did feel very much like the book. The movie goes into details that we don't necessarily get in the book, but also there's some parts in the book that, oh gosh, I'm comparing. Okay. So there are some things in the movie that we get. It's like little add-ons. It feels like, because I feel like in the movie we're getting stuff with Mary, the mom, that we necessarily didn't see, that we know exists because Precious is saying that it exists, but you're actually getting to see it. And I thought that both Monique and Gabor Sidibe did a great job in acting it. And about the way that it was shot, there is, like Ben said, there is this like office feel. And for me, what that felt more like the way that Precious, her thoughts were. So there's one scene where she's when she first meets Miss Rain. I don't want to mix up Miss Rain with Miss Wise. And she takes her into the classroom, but then Miss Rain has some one-on-one time with her, and it's going back and forth between, it's like you're getting parts of what Miss Rain is trying to teach her to read something, because apparently Precious is pretty good at math, but her reading skills for them for she ends up excelling quite quickly, but it's hard to say pretty good. She's in a very remedial class, and then she goes to each one teach one, and so they're saying, had she been taught properly from the beginning, she probably would have done really good in math. And you get to see this later on in the movie where she's like calculating things, and it's like, this is the fault of bad parenting and bad schooling, that this girl has not reached her potential. She's way behind. She's in middle school, junior high school, they called it back in the 80s, when she should be in high school, sophomore, junior year. So she's just incredibly behind. And they talk about her scores, how quickly she advances in her scores from barely being what is called literate to in a few months she moves up to being I think at an 8th or 9th grade level or something like that. So it's not, even though she's told that she's dumb from abuse, you could tell she shouldn't be, if that makes sense. And so she's portraying this in the movie, and when she's first learning to really read with Miss Rain, it shot in that kind of like The Office. It's like the camera's like tucked behind here, but you can hear Precious's thoughts. She's going from what Miss Rain is saying to the things that have happened that her mom has said, to scenes for what happened with her father. So you feel like this child should be able to focus on learning, but she can't, because she's got this and this and this, and then she's trying to listen to the teacher. She doesn't understand what is written. So it just kind of like is like, wow, it just drew me into that. This is how chaotic it's probably actually is in her mind. And so that's how I took those scenes that were played like that. So I like the way that was directed, in trying to make you feel what Precious is feeling to the best that a film can do that.
Yeah, I think it conveyed the chaos in her mind pretty darn well.
All right. Do we want to do any thoughts on just the movie alone? Because I feel like the movie on its own, without reading the book,
it does stand on its own. If someone watches it without reading the book, it does great. I mean, even so, it took $10 million. Here's my first fact: it took $10 million to create, and it grossed $63 million. Got huge backing and promotion. Like Oprah Winfrey saw it and immediately called Tyler Perry, who gave her the number, to Lee Daniels, the director. And she's like, what can I do to promote this? And the quote was, this is why movies are made. Like, we make movies for this movie. So definitely it was unprecedented, in my opinion, of showing a character arc as such. And it was the first time that we got something that people actually constantly had to look up, going, wait, is this a memoir? Is this real? Was this based on a true story and stuff? Just because it felt so real and raw.
Yeah, I literally was looking up things like, is this a real thing? Just because I'm like, I was like, surely she's taking like realistic things, because it felt like this could
even an inspired by or something, but nothing.
Yes. Nope. So I was like, wow. Let's go ahead and dive right in. So let's compare the book to the movie, and what are our thoughts on the world building, the characters, and the execution. So I'm going to say it felt so gritty. Like that Harlem back in the 80s, it felt like it. Like, I was like, oh, we are here. I thought Monique, I feel like I remember back in the day people talking about how it made them mad at Monique. And I'm like, I can see why. It is like, it reminded me of, oh, yeah, she really acted the mess out of that. She was horrible.
Well, it was also therapeutic for her because Monique
Mhm.
was only paid $50,000 for that role.
Yeah.
And she won Best Actress, by the way. But she had dealt with incest in her own life. And so
Mm.
taking on this role and showing um behind the curtain and everything, it was therapeutic for herself as well as bringing more light to it because it was one of those taboo topics that we just didn't talk about. And it brought it to light. So she did that. There's side note, Tyler Perry told her, hey, if you're nominated and you win, you're gonna have just constant people requesting you for movies. You're gonna get a million figures or 1 million plus for nomination, 6 million plus if you win. She hasn't gotten anything.
No.
Nothing since
It has
that
been the
role.
strangest thing, but yeah.
It is baffling because she was fantastic in that role. She embodied it. And when someone is hated a little bit by the community, that means they did really good.
Mhm.
Yeah. I only have 2 issues with the movie compared to the book. And it's so minute, but it's when before she starts before Precious Clarice starts the new school, she's sitting in math class and she's dreaming about the teacher. And and in the book, it's he likes me, he respects me because I don't open my book, but I keep the other kids in line. And stuff like that. Whereas in the movie, it was more of a fantasy of we're gonna get married one day. And I'm like, that's not she's not delusional. And it kind of annoyed me that they would make her appear delusional in her like of this teacher and respect of this teacher. The other thing that drove me crazy, and again, minute, but they took away her agency, Precious's agency, because when she goes into New Start, Miss Rain points to the desk in the front row. Whereas in the book, Precious says, I'm going to sit in the front row now. I am going to become smarter. Like she had the drive and the agency of, I am going to do better. The only way I can do better is if I get smarter. The only way I'm going to get smarter is if I sit in the front row. And they took that away by having Miss Rain motion to the front desk.
Yeah.
And those are like my 2 biggest issues is making her appear delusional and taking away her agency in the movie.
Yeah. And I wonder why they made that choice, because it's not even something that they glossed over, because then she still mentions, she goes, that I don't usually sit in the front. And she goes, and Miss Rain asked her, well, how does that make you feel? And she said something like, I feel like I feel here, or something like that. She says, where we would see it as I'm doing this, I feel seen. It's almost like she didn't know what the word was. But I'm like, would it have been stronger if she had looked to the back seat and been like, no, I'm going to, like, I don't know why they decided to do it that way.
They did give her agency when she said, I want to skip introductions. And then she said, actually, I do want to introduce myself. So they kind of brought it back to her, but still at the same time, I was like, her drive for literacy is like one of the most admirable things about her.
Yeah. Yeah, I also loved her drive for, even though she didn't have Mongo with her, that she was like, I need to get Mongo back, and I'm going to take care of Abdul. And even when the teacher was telling her, you're 16, it would be better if you gave these children up to somebody else so that you could focus on you. And she was very determined that I'm going to do the education thing. She's like, I'm not going to do the education thing. That it's a must. She understood that it was the only way she was going to be able to ever get Mongo back. And if she was going to be able to actually take care of Abdul and make sure that Abdul had a different life and upbringing than her. And I liked the way that there were things that they didn't gloss over, like with the welfare system. And I think that this was when a lot of the welfare changes were being made. So they were being much more strict on people, and but there were things that were being done that were not right. And she talked about how if I go to work for these people, I'm basically a slave because I'm only working for the welfare amount. And she goes, and they were openly talked about how so and so works every single day. They only get one day off, but we think about it, if we were working this much, we'd be making so much money, but they're working this much, but because they're on the welfare roll, they'd only get that little bit of welfare, and they're gone away from their families the entire time. And just the way that the one girl said her friend's mom did it, and the lady rings a bell like she's just like some kind of servant, and they're like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, that idea of you're working 8 to 5, but then you're on call.
Yeah, you're on call,
but not
getting paid
for
to
all
be
the
on
other.
call. So you're 8, and that's when she was doing the math, and she broke it down for the girl. She goes, so they're saying that you're making 8 such and such, but by the time you're done being on call the whole time and you only get Saturday off, you're making $2. So it goes to show, that's one of the parts where if she had the proper education, she'd probably be average, maybe even better than average. But the potential has been there. It just, the opportunities weren't there for her. And a lot of times people don't understand, what do they mean by you don't have the same opportunities as everybody else? Even in where she lived at in Harlem, she didn't have the same opportunities as other poor or disadvantaged kids. Her opportunities were that much less because her mom wouldn't let her. Her mom was very much against her getting an education and berated her for it. And the lack of understanding of what that could do to someone's psyche. And I think that that's one of the things that this brought to light. That, because you see other kids, and the other kids, they might be, needing some discipline and other things, but they weren't necessarily going through what Precious was going through. So there are so many layers, and I think it really did a good job of exposing that to what's just a kid who's just kind of like doing their own thing and not wanting to do well in school or whatever, versus a kid who is really in crisis.
Who was done a disservice.
Mm-hmm.
The system didn't even try.
Yeah.
And everything. Ben, what do you got?
Just more on the daydreams, in that I feel like it detracted from the movie every time it happened. Like what you said, where it took away from her character, where it's just, oh, she wants to get she has a daydream about marrying her math teacher. Later on, she has a daydream about the attractive male nurse. And there's like a whole bunch of other daydreams where basically it's just, I want to be the star of attention. I want to be an object of desire. And it doesn't really say much about her short of an interlude. And so whenever those moments took place, they were usually in a otherwise serious moment. And each time she had a daydream, it just detracted from the emotional investment of the character.
I could construe it as like it's her escapism and coping mechanism, but at the same time, I do agree with you. It came across not as escaping; it came across as delusional, and two different things.
Yeah, and all of them collectively together, every single daydream didn't say anything else. It was just, I want to be desired. It wasn't like, hey, I'm doing so well in math, like I want this math teacher to respect me. Hey, I want this this attractive nurse to notice me or to recognize how strong I am or something like that. It just is taking up time within the movie.
Yeah. But I will say it's probably realistic though. To a teenage 16-year-old girl who honestly, most 16-year-old girls do want a boyfriend. They do want people to think that they're pretty. And that is the reality. And they're not necessarily, that 16-year-old girl is not necessarily thinking, I want them to think that I'm the smartest. There are some kids that are like that, but in her situation where people are perceiving her as something that she's not, because she's pregnant with her second kid. They're
Yeah.
perceiving her as this girl who's fast and who's going after guys, and that just wasn't her reality. But until they know, until Miss Wise cracks it that, okay, this was your dad that did this to you. You've never had a boyfriend. And she even said, I wish that it had been from a boyfriend, because at least someone would have liked me in a proper way.
And
So she doesn't really have a real grasp on reality of what that would look like. So if you couple that with her being a 16-year-old girl, who 16-year-old girls do want boys to like them, if or want whatever they're attracted to, they want to be liked by them, and they want to be perceived as pretty. I feel like it's probably, even though we don't like it, it's probably realistic. I don't think that they needed to embellish that by, like what Natalie said, adding the added fantasy to say, I kind of have a crush on him. Yes, but the added part of we're gonna get married one day. I don't think that her thoughts on it went that far, but maybe she wanted him to like her. Maybe.
Yeah, they could have solved it if they just threw in her saying, "What if?"
Yeah.
I feel like those two words would remove the delusion and put it into a escapism mindset.
Yeah, versus the we gonna get. And it's like, no.
And I completely agree with you. That is very accurate for, a teenage girl, I'm sure. But it's also, this is the difference between the book and the movie, is that the movie was just 100% fantasy, whereas in the book she actually has thoughts about those. I mean, I could see every time where it was leading towards those daydreams, or what she was thinking, what she was feeling, etc. But then in the movie, it's just, I want to be, I want somebody like me. I want this, I want everybody to be watching me.
Yeah. Fair.
There was something I found interesting, and it made me think of this study that I read about, and I tried to look it up, but I couldn't find it. But it was talking about the impact of emotions while eating, and that when you are under a stressful situation, have more cortisol in your system while you're eating, you're more likely to develop high blood pressure and high cholesterol and all these unhealthy habits. But yet when you're eating in a situation that is good, like such as take the ideal family dinner of sitting around the table and eating together and laughing and enjoying, in those situations, even if you're eating the same exact food in both situations, you're actually less likely to get high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and such. And it just made me think so much, because one of the topics discussed is Precious's relationship with food, and her mother pushing food on her, where she says, "I'm not hungry." "No, you are. You're gonna eat, or you're gonna remake this meal and stuff. You're gonna eat what you already cooked, because we don't waste food, but I'm not having that crap. You're gonna make me something else." Like all these things. And it was in the back of my mind, even though it doesn't come across in the story of us as part of her health issues. There is studies out there that support that the emotions you have while you're eating, the situations you're in while you're eating, will affect your health.
Yes, stress and hormones that very much affect your health. They affect your digestion. And so even just how you're digesting food, the process that it all is affected by that. So you can see that, even though it's not, it doesn't talk about that, that's what's going on. You see it. You see her, steal the thing of chicken, eat it, and then immediately get sick. She can't even handle it.
I took that as
pregnancy.
Sickness.
The pregnancy.
Pregnancy, like sickness.
She's too far along to have morning. Yes. Well, I guess some
Okay.
people can get morning sickness far along, but there's a lot.
My kids, they always gave me morning sickness.
School.
Yeah. My kids always gave me morning sickness on the weekends when I was off work. I was like, you little turds. But I also thought of it as a quantity, because when you're pregnant, your stomach is smaller and you can't eat as much. And she had an entire bucket.
Yes.
And I can't even
right before her first day of a new school. So there's the stress from that. I'm like, girl, I don't know what you were thinking, but that was not a good idea.
No.
All the way around. But yeah.
Otherwise, I thought the characters, who they hired, cast as the characters and everything, I thought everyone was on point. The girls that she was in the class with, they all had their own personalities, and I loved there was different accents and stuff. I thought it was really representative of Harlem, and as well as in the book and in the movie, of how all these girls ended up at this school to get their GED, but it was all for different reasons. And this collective, it wasn't like everyone was actually in dire circumstance. Some were like, I just want to graduate sooner and stuff.
Yep.
Like,
exactly.
And I thought that was really beautiful, especially as the group grew together in strength. Like the one character, and it's the same in both, but you didn't see it as much as in the movie. But in the book, it was really moving for the character to say, I want to open up a women's shelter.
Yeah.
And when she said that, that showed the growth that these girls had together, the connection. But I still think the placement and everything was spot on. The characters that they chose, backstory is Mariah Carey was Miss Weiss. She actually reached out wanting to do the part, and they said, yeah, sure, but leave your diva stuff at home. We want no makeup, no fancy clothes or whatever. You are not going to get catered to and get your latte or whatever. You're coming in like anyone else. And she did it and stuff. Another interesting part is that I always want to call her Gabrielle, but it's Gabby, right?
Gabourey.
Thank you. Okay. Gabourey was 26 when she played this part, playing the part of a 16-year-old. The only reason she got the like even tried out for the part is because she was on her way to her college classes, and the route there was blocked by the casting call or something, and a friend in college told her about it. She's like, fine, whatever, it's in my way of getting to school, I might as well try out for it. And that was her debut role, like her breakout role.
Breakout role. They had some really some actors that don't even necessarily act a lot were in it, and then some actors you weren't expecting. They had Paula Patton was Miss Rain, who I thought she did a great job as Miss Rain.
Fabulous.
And we even had Sherry Shepherd. I was just like,
And then can we talk about the nurse? Oh my God,
Lenny Kravitz.
Lenny Kravitz. Oh my gosh, like that was like an add-in, like nowhere in the book, but I thought it was beautiful. It was to me that storyline was important to show how there are people who treat other people as humans and everything. And some people would see, I got a 16-year-old girl in the hospital having her second kid or whatever, but Lenny Kravitz's character, Nurse, I think they called him Nurse Jack or
Nurse John.
Nurse John. Okay. Yeah. I'm horrible with names. He cared.
Yeah.
I just thought
that was a little skeptical when he first came on, because she's like screaming. He's like, stop screaming. I'm like, don't you tell her to stop screaming.
No, you don't know the pain, man.
Yeah. And then he was like there, like literally by her side the entire time. And then afterwards, and just being super supportive.
I didn't need the love interest of where he's interested in the teacher, and then Oppression was like, no, I got someone else.
Let me show you. I got somebody
in your field or plays for doesn't play for the same team as you or something. Whatever the verbiage would be. And I thought that was beautiful, but at the same time, I was I appreciated the addition, and I appreciated the well-known names as well. Of just it to me, it just proved how much of a passion project this was.
Yeah, people actually wanting to be involved with this, and I think it also it improved on showing the people who actually ended up rallying around her, that she was able to find. It's like that found family that so many of us love so much. She was able to do that with the group of people that she met through this.
So let's talk about the ending then. The movie ending and the book ending. All right. Yeah. Ben, I want you to we put a pin in this and stuff. I didn't forget, man.
I know. Yeah. So we're starting off with the movie first.
Whichever you want to do.
Can I preface before we get to the endings? They do talk about the color purple is a reference for her in this book, and she talks about how she thought that the ending of the color purple was so unrealistic because she goes, "Who gets a happy ending?" She goes, "That's not real. That's not reality." So this is Precious's thoughts on someone going through and we don't get that in the movie, but this is literally the color purple is mentioned as one of their book references in the book of someone that's
and she
like,
compares herself to Whoopi Goldberg's character.
Yes.
I'm
silly. It's
silly.
okay.
Yeah, and so different things. So either way, continue.
Yeah. So now let's get to the ending of this one.
All right. So for the movie itself, overall, Precious is a very reactive character, and the first time she really becomes active and makes like a solid decision for herself, that's not something that somebody else tells her to or indicates sit here or whatever. She basically just walks off from her mom, and in the book it's so much better. Like she actually says some things to her mom, and like it's emotional. She's standing up for herself. She's saying like, what you did was unacceptable, like this is messed up. She didn't say those exact words, but she's essentially saying that. And then in the movie, like she doesn't say anything really meaningful, but she does just like get up and leave, and it didn't have the same resonance that did for me.
Yeah, it didn't have the gravitas because it was like she was making a decision without thinking it through. Because I admit, when she was walking out of the place, I'm like, well, what are you gonna do now? Where are you gonna live? What are you
gonna
well, so we'll get to that in just 1 second. But so the comedic moment the moment that I've seen before in an SNL skit is it's so they're in the social worker place, and it's an organized meeting between the Precious and her mom, and it's like they're trying to have some kind of emotional resolution so that Precious can move on and everything. Like it's a very controlled environment. And it plays out kind of like you would expect, where, the mom is really in a whole bunch of terrible, terrible things. And then she's like, hold on 1 second. And she gets up and like walks off camera and comes back and is like, this is yours. And just hands Precious a baby. And like, that is 100% a skit I've seen in SNL of like somebody walking off stage and be like, here's a baby. Like,
oh my goodness.
It
was
I obviously
awkward.
didn't laugh, but like it is a scene I've seen in a comedy routine, and I don't know, it just kind of felt weird. Like, it was before at the social worker's place that there's like a place where you can drop off your kids, because there was a place where you could drop off your kids, and that was at the apartment that Precious lived at, and it was like an organized thing. So essentially, in my headcanon, Precious's first child was standing by the door in this wide open area, and then the mom just walks off screen, picks her up, and like brings her in.
Well, and then also to me, that had no power of like the mom was trying to do it as like, here's an olive branch, here's your child and stuff, and I'm like, you didn't like the child yourself
at all.
Like, and so it'd be like my kids going, hey mom, you can empty the dishwasher. No, that's you don't want to do it, that you're not giving it to me.
Right.
Yeah, that part felt a little awkward, and I don't know why. It is kind of like what Ben said, like, where did she just get Mongo from? But it is that, okay, the baby, probably toddler, the toddler was probably in a little waiting area where they drop off the kids so that they can actually have their meeting. But it was just awkward. It was awkward, and it was awkward
it felt disingenuous.
Yes, and a little just in the middle of a scene where we're getting some very important dialogue coming from Mary, the mom. And I do like the addition that we get with Mary, but I miss what we got with Precious at the same time from this book. That whole Precious being able to tell her off. And I don't know if it was because it's supposed to be just us listening to Mary and just being completely aghast at so I don't know if it was supposed to be like, just listen to what this woman's saying. This is the insanity of of what Precious has gone through, so that Precious doesn't have to say anything, because now we're getting all of this from Mary. And I think, Monique, those lines I had, you see them come up. Who was going to love me? Because she has this very bizarre disconnect with what actually happened to her daughter, and she's having a realization, but at the same time, that disconnect is still there.
Duality, like the mother nurturing, being in competition with the wanting to be nurtured herself. And I just, it's hearing the story from her point of view. It was almost like she was having that self-realization, but I still don't think it clicked for her either.
Yeah. It's like, it's almost like every time it started to click, she would like dial it back, but no, but what about me? Kind of thing. And it's like, oh, you were
almost like a narcissist.
Also, can she still go to prison for this? Honestly, I'm thinking, can she still go to prison for this?
Okay, I've actually researched this before, the statute of limitations and everything, and each state is different. There are some states where it's a lifetime, no matter when this occurred, and then there's some states where it's only 5 years.
Yeah.
And then also it varies. There's, by the time the triggering start date of that timeline is the actual event itself, and then there's sometimes the realization, because unfortunately, this difficult topic, but children don't realize what happened to them until they get older.
Yeah.
And have that process and realize, oh my goodness. And some states will allow that realization to be the triggering point of the start timeline.
Yeah, because I feel like
I had to look it up for a book. If anybody's questioning, I was looking up for a book.
Yeah, and we're seeing that even Precious now is literally, she's just having the realization of how wrong this was. You know, we're watching her go through the process of realizing, you know, I should be able to date or have a crush on a regular boy. This guy is my dad. Why?
So something that the book did that the movie didn't, and I thought it was fabulous, because we and I'm about to touch on a very sensitive topic, so warning of anybody who is sensitive around grape situations. Hopefully y'all got that. But in the book, she actually talked about having a physical reaction to it and how it almost disgusted herself. And I thought that that was very poignant, because everyone thinks of situations of being forced to do something. Thank you. They think of it as like almost like a full spectrum of hitting, kicking, no. And sometimes it's not like that.
Yeah.
And I thought that the fact that it brought to light of where her body is having a physical reaction and she is having self-loathing because of that physical reaction, something that's scientific that would have been fine in any other healthy relationship. It was, I never seen that in a book. I've never seen that ever. And the fact that it was discussed, I thought was very important, because in letting people know that just because your body is physically reacting to something does not mean it's okay.
Right.
So sorry, that is about the closest I'm going to get to crying, because it's just, it's so, it hit a nerve, because a lot of people just think that, what is it? Freezing is acceptance, and it's not.
No. Yeah, we can't judge how anybody's going to react in this situation. So, and especially in this case, she's literally a child. So even after the fact,
and she's
even after the fact, because I think they would think, well, even if you do have this freeze up or just this kind of like out of body kind of like dissociation, that you'll say something afterwards, but not a child with a parent or an authority figure, or a child in general. They, no, you don't know what that reaction is. So you have to just kind of accept that this is their reaction. This is their processing.
And
we're
just because their
watching her
body
process.
reacts a certain way does not change their
What
mind
happened.
and how they decided how they feel about this. It is not, those are two different things. And it is brought in. Sorry if I'm making anybody uncomfortable, but to me, the reason it's so important is because a lot of people use this argument against men being the victims. Because men have to show a physical reaction and they go, well, you did this. That's not, it's still an unwanted situation. And just because men show a more visual reaction than women does not mean they want it more. It is a physical thing. It is a human body. I'm trying to be as scientific as possible here, but it's a
physical natural
reaction.
thing.
Yeah, it's natural. It is something that is even a subconscious. There's a reason why it happens. I'm never going to go into detail. Anyway, it happens naturally, okay? Before even and it happens naturally in children before they're even aware of what that means. I'll just say that for anybody who's raised children and it happens, okay? But it doesn't have that connotation of a encounter or anything like that. It's just something that your body does naturally. So when it is an encounter, all right, sorry, I'm getting off my soapbox. It's just it drives me crazy. This is one of those most sensitive topics, and I'm glad this book brought it to light. I'm glad the book brought that, the questioning of oneself, going, am I enjoying this? No, you're not. Just because your body is making it seem like you're not. And I thought I've never seen that discussed anywhere. And I think it's just an important message that needs to be out there, especially for victims who did have a physical reaction and they are dealing with self-loathing and everything. And it is so important.
Yeah.
Off my soapbox.
No. Perfect. Perfect, because that is exactly what we watched this with Precious. She has so much self-loathing from not just her mother literally dumping on her nonstop, but also from what happened to her with her father, what her father did to her. So yeah, right in there with that. So we did talk about, there weren't a whole lot of changes, but anybody want to reiterate their best and worst changes?
I still have my two of where they took away her agency and made her delusional through the fantasies instead of escapism. So that was my two things. But then I will say what I did enjoy was the human connection of them adding Nurse John in and everything. Like that was a beautiful human connection of showing that there are people that can look past someone's situation and just see the person and care for the person, and that not and actually I found that interesting now that I'm having a reflection of it, that every time Precious was in these organizations that are meant to help people like her, we never saw the stigma of people being annoyed at, welfare grabbers or anything like that. Every single person in a position of part of these organizations was there to help. They were genuine. They were kind. The first time you saw someone that didn't help was the person in the regular system, the counselor in the regular system that was like, and she did what she could at least, but she still had this like almost judgment of like, honey, you got your second kid. Like there was still a little bit of unhelpfulness, even though she's the one that got her into what the first step, Right Start, whatever it's called.
Yeah. It's like the strange flip of the coin, because she does seem very cold in the office, but then the same woman goes at night into the, probably the roughest part of Harlem at night, because it's that important that she get in touch with this mom. And even when she's being cussed out, she's still ringing the bell. She's like, I hear you cussing me out, but I'm going to keep ringing this bell because, girl, you're in this school. So it's like, it almost felt like how people get burnt out. Like they've done this so many times. Like, oh, here's another pregnant girl. Okay. Because she doesn't know the whole story.
Yeah.
The principal, Miss Lichton, she doesn't get to the bottom of it. She just knows we got this girl. She's 16, pregnant for the second time. Whereas it's Miss Wise, who, even though she seems a little bit colder, again, they've gone through this hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. She sticks with it until she's like, we're going to get you to say the quiet part out loud because we need to figure out what's going on, because the money can get cut off, but nobody's facing why are we in this situation.
The difference between trying to fix the symptoms versus finding the root cause.
Yeah. And the same thing with the teacher, Miss Rain. So we have these situations, and with the nurse he's added it in the movie. You just see someone who's like, I know this girl's going through stuff, but I'm just going to be here. She's going to see that I'm a friend who's going to show up.
And I think he handled teenage girls drooling over him pretty professionally. He's like, okay,
time for me to go.
Yeah.
And
if you flipped, and I've thought of this multiple times, if you flip that where it was a whole bunch of teenage boys treating a female nurse that way, it wouldn't have been as funny and cute and hilarious. It's the gender or sex double stigmas it's something that I've been very aware of recently.
Yeah. And I'm also, when I was paying attention to that scene, because I also paid attention to how he reacted. Was he uncomfortable, or was he like, okay, girls? And so I was like, if he gets uncomfortable, because we know people like this. Do you know if there's a good looking person and the girls are like, ooh, googly, and they're like, okay, knock it off. And they're like, they're just being teenage girls versus, or I would say being teenage boys, and they're not uncomfortable and they're just like, okay, cut it out, I'm leaving, or are they like, oh my gosh, they're making me feel, I'm not, and then telling you, you're making me feel uncomfortable, cut it out. So I pay attention to how he actually felt about it, and just kind of like let that, even though I still feel like, come on, kids, just because you're kids that's not a reason to be inappropriate. But the fact that he was just like, I'm not bothered. He was unbothered, and
I think he handled it well, and just remove yourself.
And with the kiss on, giving Precious the kiss on the forehead, I'm like, has this girl ever had a kiss?
Okay. That part I thought was unprofessional a little bit.
Very unprofessional.
Yeah, like that gave it. To me, that's like giving someone hope that there could be something type situation.
Yeah. I'm like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. So, Ben, best and worst changes.
Oh boy, putting me on the spot. Yeah, so like I already said, I guess worst change, she actually has a comeuppance moment in the book, which gets taken away in the movie. Also at the end of the movie, she ends up with 2 kids. In the book, everything is kind of nebulous. There's actually arguably no ending to the book. It just sort of stops. And I mean, in both cases, I would have liked just like one little sentence at the end of being like, by the way, she got her GED, etc. Like, I feel like both of them would have been significantly helped by having just a little bit at the end, because her state at the end of the book is, in both cases, is she has, AIDS. She has 2 children. She doesn't have a job. She doesn't, she's going to get her GED. We don't know how long that'll take. She says maybe another year, but like, there's so much that's up in the air that's nebulous. And like, again, like I mentioned, she has AIDS. So I also did a research on this. And in 1992, like, at that point, she has at most, best case scenario, 10 years to live, assuming she gets good medicine and like proper medical support. And I don't know, I just feel like in both the book and the movie, it doesn't seem like she would be able to get that. She would be able to provide for the kids she now has within that 10-year time limit, while balancing everything, like going to school and then finding a new job that she wants to have, instead of the one that will be forced onto her otherwise. So I don't know. I feel like there needed to be just a little bit more at the end of it.
Yeah. I feel like that's true. I feel like we don't know, does Precious get a quote unquote happy ending? And that's where we tie back into what her thoughts were on The Color Purple, that everything was tied up so neatly.
It doesn't need to be she gets a GED and has like this beautiful job and
right. We don't
is
know
able
nothing.
to make it. But I just want like a little crumb or something. And
Yeah.
it actually gets much worse because I also did a little research because I had a thought, and there is a sequel to this book. And everything just gets so much worse.
Oh no.
Oh no. Did you read a summary of it?
Yeah, I read a summary of it.
was thinking about reading it.
I was thinking about reading it too, for the completionist in me, because this literally feels like half the story.
Yeah.
So the completionist in me is like, do I? But maybe I don't. Maybe I don't, because right now, I can imagine that it's the start of when good medicines are coming, the proper medications and stuff start coming out in the 90s. That maybe she got into one of the programs that helped her. She was able to get both of the kids back, because in the book, she does have Abdul. She wants to get Mongo, but she does not have Mongo at the end. But you're also like, the grandma's getting old as well. So we really don't know, what's going to go on with Precious by the end of the book. And same thing, I think that's the closest to a happy ending versus from what we get on the book, is that you see her being strong and leaving with both of the children. But then what? Where does she live?
This was like the first movie to not have a happy ending, because if you think about, and when I say first movie, I mean first predominantly Black cast of not having a happy ending. Usually there is, as we've talked about in previous stories and stuff, like the white savior trope and stuff of that Black people can't pull themselves out of the poverty that they were in, or a Jim Crow world, unless there was a white person there to be their voice for them. And it's so annoying because there's plenty of people who pull themselves out by themselves. However, this movie conveyed that not only was it she's on her own, it was everyone's opening doors for her. She had to walk through them herself. And that is the beauty of this film, is that we don't know what an ending is, and technically there is no ending because her life continues. But it's that first time that we get, instead of a closure, we know she's going to try.
Yep. And that's the thing with Precious. We can see that even though she's getting some doors opening for her, because now she's going to be, if she's had both of these kids, she'll be the one who's able to receive her own money. She's got the education that she has the opportunity to get. But even with these doors, the odds are still stacked against her, because she's got to get the education with 2 kids while being very sick.
With one of her kids is also needs their own
special needs. Yes.
Special needs. Yeah.
I know.
So the odds are just not in her favor.
One of the things that I found that really resonated with me was the push for welfare and everything. And it wasn't actually seen as like a, she didn't shun it if she needed it. She shunned it for depending only on that and like just continuing to need it. And to me, that was really important, because myself, I got pregnant as a sophomore in high school with my parents. And I actually went on, I think it's WIC is what it's called or something, but I got food stamps and stuff for my daughter and I, before my husband and I got married. And even though my parents could have paid for everything, I wanted to do it myself. But growing up in the South, I had this mindset that I was on the government's teat, and my mother had to like unwind some horrible stigmas that were placed in my mind and let me know, no, this is what it's for. It is here to help people. You are in a situation where you need help. This is not forever and stuff. And sure enough, I mean, we got off of it, and I ended up joining with my current career that I have had for like 13 years now. But there was a time where I was needed. And to see that representation in the book of use it, but don't, like, this is not long-term dependency. I thought that was really nice.
Yeah. Yeah. And the discussions on the smarter way or better ways to get people off, and how that some ways would be a bigger trap versus via education, because there's the education route and then there's the you must work now route, and how they discussed how if I'm able to get the welfare,
they really peeled apart the systematic issues of it for sure.
But a lot of people will, and they even showed how a lot of people will fall for the I just need to get the check so I can have a place to live and have the food, and then they're stuck. You can never move forward. You'll never you'll never make more money. Because now you're stuck. So they did a good job without making it feel like it was being shoved down your throat, that these are the two paths and these are the discussions for people who actually want to have the discussion, versus the people who are just like, get off of welfare and da da da. That's not helpful. No. It's actually helpful if you listen to the people who are in the system that say, yes, there are people like Mary who are going to abuse it, but there's so many more people who are actually in bad situations who are trying to find their way out. And that's the bulk of people. So they did a good job of showing that without it being like, this is what it's about, because it's not what it's about. But it was there because it's a byproduct of this is the situation.
For final thoughts, if y'all finished yours, I was just going to say so the movie and the book are great. They're great on their own. They're great together, but you truly have to be in the right headspace. And it is a beautiful story to, if you want to soften it a little bit and realize it's not real, it's a novel, you can. However, it could very well have been inspired by a true story. It feels real. So if you are in a place where you need to have greater empathy for your fellow man and need to understand someone's life outside of your own, and hopefully everyone feels that way, because that's actually why I read constantly, is I want to grow empathy and have a better understanding of other people's lives. This is a good thing to visit, whether it's the movie, whether it's the book, or it's both. It will, as long as you go into it with an open mind and you are prepared to be uncomfortable, you will have a greater understanding of what others go through, the challenges people face to even achieve the minimal goal of just living. Now, I'm not even talking about having the white picket fence and 2.5 kids and a dog and stuff, just living.
Yeah, that's the surviving versus thriving. These people are literally just doing everything they can just to survive. So yeah, I agree. Worth a watch if you have not seen the movie, worth a read if you haven't read the book. But yeah, with all the warnings and be in the right headspace. And even if you think you're in the right headspace and you start reading, you need to put it down, do it. And come back to it when you're ready. Because I think once you start reading, she tells you in the first couple sentences what you're in for. So if you think you're ready and you read those first couple sentences, you might be like, oh, maybe I'm not ready. Come back to it when you're ready, because everything that she says in that first paragraph, that's what you're getting in this book.
Yeah. If you need to gauge whether you're ready for this book, read or watch The Color Purple. And then if you were able to handle that, then you can go into this book. If you have no baseline of if you're ready.
Yeah. Any other final thoughts before we move on to what we have coming up? All right. So thank you guys for discussing Push and Precious. That was, I thought that was a good one for me, because
this is one of my favorites that we've ever done. This is, you know how everyone has like a video that they did on YouTube or something, and there's the one that didn't do well. I have a feeling this won't do like views wise well.
Yeah.
But this is one of my favorites. that we've ever done. I think it is just so important.
It is. And honestly, the way that it's written literally is written like this girl is talking to you. I'm like, and if you get a chance to audio it with Sapphire doing the narration, I feel like that's how Sapphire wanted it to sound.
I don't think I had Sapphire on my audiobook.
Yeah. Because there is another one by somebody else, and she was doing a good job as well. But I really wanted to hear it in with Sapphire's narration. So coming up, guys, for March, we have season 4 of Bridgerton, which is book 3 of the Bridgerton series. So we're going to talk about what is the name of that book? An Offer from a Gentleman, I believe it is. Yes.
An Offer from a Gentleman, which is one of the titles of the episode.
Yes.
I forget which episode, but one of the episodes is An Offer from a Gentleman.
So the first half is out already. I've already immediately watched it. I'll give my thoughts because we did not discuss season 3, I don't believe, and book 4. Did we? I think we did 2, but not.
I think we did season 3 because I was scrolling through our video.
Okay, I can't remember. All right. Oh, maybe we did. Okay. I couldn't remember.
And I remember us doing Antony's story because I was annoyed. I'm trying to cater my language. But I was very annoyed at the bee situation.
Yes, I love the bee scene in the book. Guys, go back and watch it if you want to know. Season 2 was, I think, probably my favorite, but there were still things that I was just like, why did you do that? Season 3, not my favorite, but it was still enjoyable. So I'm excited to talk about season 4. My favorite 2 books were the On Offer from a Gentleman and the Viscount Who Loved Me. Of the books that I've written, I don't think I haven't read all of them yet, so I need to get back to it. So I'm excited to talk about season 4, which is book 3.
So right now for season 4, and when we found this on February 22nd, it is part 1 of season 4 is out. Part 2 of season 4 will be released February 26th. So plenty of time for you to read the book, finish all 8 episodes to prepare for our March analysis of Bridgerton season 4 and book 3.
Yep. And then in April, we are going to do the second half of Wicked. The first part is already out. You guys can watch it. The second half is out now, but we're waiting for it to be available for everybody to watch without having to pay for it.
Other than your regular subscription.
Yeah. Yes. So it will be going to Peacock or Paramount. One of those. It will be out available without the
in
paywall.
March, like March 23rd or I think or something like that.
So we'll be doing that one in April. So that's what we have coming up, and we've got other stuff. We're itching and scratching to do Project Hail Mary. So as soon as it's available, we will do it, guys. I think Nat, you said you guys are gonna go.
Oh yeah, my husband luckily is on board for a date night for us because I told him I convinced him to read it, which is a feat in itself. Because him and I are similar. Like when there's like a push for something, we go, no, I'm going to choose to do it on my own.
Right.
But he read it, loved it, and admitted to me yesterday that we are going to the theaters. We will budget for a theater date to go. And I'm like, thank God, because I can't wait to watch this movie. He actually wants to rewatch The Martian. For anybody, we did do a video on that, by the way, but it's written by the same author, Andy Ware, who also wrote Project Hail Mary, but it has the same vibe of a really smart person with a lot of sarcasm.
Yeah, so that's one of my most anticipated, actually. That, and I can't wait till we do the 6888. I'm excited to do that one, which is more of like little history books have been written on it. So, but we like to flip the script.
There was a novel, historical fiction novel on it, but the movie itself that created it doesn't mark that novel as its adaptation.
Yeah.
So it's it's going to be one of those where we're going to do it, but we're bending our rules a little bit of what counts as the book it's being scripted from.
Yeah, it's more the history it's being scripted from. And we're gonna talk about it. So I'm looking forward to that one. There's a bunch on that we're gonna be doing this year that I'm looking forward to. But yeah, those two, Project Hail Mary and the 6 AAA are definitely. Also, I misspelled Wicked.
Oh goodness, I just noticed.
I don't know how
okay.
I noticed it, but I'm like, oh, but you guys know what it is. So we'll be doing that. And let's do our outros really quick, guys.
Natalie Locke, you can find me on here. I am most active on Instagram under Writer Locke, spelled exactly as that, Locke. But yeah, you can find me there.
Yeah.
And I'm Ben Pick. You can find me on Running2Write on YouTube.
All right. And I'm Nia the Vixen of Fiction all over the place. You can find me and yep. Oh, I think that things are starting to happen here. So we're going to take off. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. And we will be back next month with more. Bye.